Aunt demanded I divorce my husband so her daughter could have him, made me look bad to my family, then found out she was actually having an affair with him behind my back. I, 28F, have been married to my husband, Adam, 30M, for 3 years now. We have had our ups and downs, as any marriage does, but I believed we were quite stable. That is why the entire thing has taken me entirely by surprise. And now I am wondering whether I was somehow responsible for this mess. I have this aunt, let us call her Natalie, who has always been eccentric, to say the least. Growing up, she was the kind of person who would do a favor for you and then hold it over your head for the rest of your life. As a kid, I remember her being this overwhelming presence, always talking about how much she has done for everyone and how people owe her. It is just her way of maintaining control. She is kind of notorious in the family for being manipulative, but I never thought I would get tangled up in her games, especially not like this. Years ago, when I was younger, around 18 or 19, I was going through a really rough patch financially. My parents were not in the picture at the time, and I had just moved out on my own, scraping by with part-time jobs and trying to figure things out. It was a difficult time, and Natalie came through for me in a way that, back then, I genuinely appreciated. She lent me some money, not a huge amount, but enough to get me through a couple of months while I got back on my feet. I thanked her profusely, and after a while, I paid her back in full. I thought that was the end of it, and for years, it seemed like it was. She never brought it up, never mentioned that I owed her anything, so I assumed it was all in the past. Fast forward to now, and Natalie has this daughter, let us call her Grace. Grace and I were never close growing up. She is a couple of years younger than me, but we have always been in different social circles. The truth is, we have never really liked each other. She has always been the spoiled, entitled type, getting whatever she wants because Natalie is always pushing her to the front of everything. Family events? Grace is the center of attention. Holidays? Grace gets the best gifts, the most praise, the most everything. I have learned to ignore it over the years because it is just how Natalie operates. She dotes on her daughter like she is some kind of princess, and the rest of us are supposed to be grateful just to be in their presence. So, Grace's birthday is coming up. She is turning 26, and Natalie has been dropping hints for weeks now about how this birthday needs to be special and how she wants to give her daughter the world. At first, I did not think much of it because, honestly, Grace's birthday is not really on my radar. I was polite and said, "Oh, that sounds great" or whatever when Natalie mentioned it, but I was not paying too much attention. Then, out of nowhere, Natalie calls me up one evening and tells me she needs to talk to me about something important. I figured it was about Grace's birthday or some family gathering, so I agreed to meet up with her. When we met, Natalie hit me with the most bizarre and outrageous request I have ever heard in my life. She told me, point blank, that the only thing Grace really wants for her birthday is for me to leave my husband, Adam. I was stunned. Like, what? Why? Why would that even cross her mind? Natalie went on to explain that Grace has had a crush on Adam for years, which I had no idea about, by the way, and that she is convinced he is her soulmate or something. According to Natalie, Grace has been pining for him since the day they met, and now that she is about to turn 26, she feels like it is her last chance to be with him. She genuinely believes that Adam belongs with her and that I am standing in the way of their happiness. At first, I thought this had to be a joke. There was no way Natalie could seriously expect me to leave my husband as a birthday gift for her daughter. But as she kept talking, I realized she was dead serious. She even started bringing up the money she lent me all those years ago, saying that I owed her and that this was the perfect way to repay her. According to Natalie, if I was truly grateful for her helping me out when I was struggling, I would do this one thing for her daughter. I was completely shocked. I could not believe what I heard. Of course, I said no. I was not about to end my marriage over an insane demand from my entitled cousin. I told Natalie that this was absurd, that I would never leave Adam, and that I owed her nothing. I had paid her back for the money, and whatever favor she thought she had done for me gave her no right to demand this. She did not take that well. Natalie became angry and accused me of being ungrateful and self-centered. She went on and on about how Grace deserved happiness, how she had made so many sacrifices for me over the years, and how I was ruining everything by refusing to see reason. I walked out of that conversation worn out, but also confident that I had done the right thing. I was not going to let her manipulate me like that. I did not think much about it after that, but a few days later, things began to change between me and Adam. He became distant and colder than usual, and when I asked him what was wrong, he simply brushed me off. I assumed he was stressed at work or something, but then he sat me down and told me he was leaving me. He did not go into much detail, only saying that things were not going well and that he thought it was time for us to part ways. I was devastated. This came out of nowhere, and I had no idea what had changed so quickly. It was not until a mutual friend contacted me that I discovered what had actually happened. Natalie apparently went behind my back after our conversation and told Adam everything. But, of course, she twisted the story so that it appeared that I was at fault. She told Adam that I had been ungrateful for everything she had done for me, that I did not care about family, and that I had been keeping secrets from him. She even made up stories about how distant and cold I had been toward Adam, manipulating the situation to make it appear as if I was the problem in our marriage. According to what I have heard, she convinced him that I was not telling him the truth, which was enough to push him over the edge. So now I am trying to pick up the pieces of my life after my husband left me because of my manipulative aunt. Part of me wonders if there was already something wrong with our marriage, and this was just the last straw. Maybe I overlooked some signs. I was not as good a wife as I thought I was. But another part of me is furious. How could Natalie do this to me? How could she go behind my back and ruin my marriage just because I refused to give her what she wanted? And why did Adam believe her so easily? Shouldn't he have trusted me enough to at least talk to me about it before making such a huge decision? I am so confused and hurt right now, and I have no idea what to do. My family is divided on the subject, with some believing I should have just let it go and others agreeing Natalie is out of line. But the truth is, I do not believe this is just about Natalie anymore. I believe there is a larger issue at play, such as Adam looking for an out and this being just the excuse he needed. I do not know if I am overreacting, but I cannot shake the feeling that this whole situation is somehow my fault. Maybe if I had handled things differently with Natalie, if I had been more attentive to Adam's needs, none of this would have happened. But at the same time, I feel like I was backed into a corner, and no matter what I did, I would have ended up losing. So, Aita for refusing my aunt's ridiculous demand to leave my husband as a birthday gift for her daughter? And am I to blame for my husband leaving me because of what she told him? I just need some views on this because right now, everything feels like it is spiraling out of control, and I do not know where to turn. Update 1. Hey, everyone. It has been a few weeks since my life basically imploded, and I am still trying to figure out how to move forward. After what happened with my Aunt Natalie and my husband Adam, things have been really hard to process. I did not think I would ever be posting an update, but here I am, trying to make sense of it all. At first, I thought it was all because of Natalie's interference. But after everything that has happened since, I have started to wonder if there was something more going on between Adam and me, something I missed. I have been trying to piece it all together, and I keep coming back to the same question. Was this already broken, and I just did not see it? When Adam told me he was going, he did not give me much information. He just informed me that things were not going well and that he felt it was time for us to part ways. There was no huge fight. There was no blow up. Just, over. I felt heartbroken and confused. I thought we were secure, or at least as secure as any marriage with ups and downs. It all felt like it happened out of nowhere. After sitting with my thoughts and feelings for a few days, I decided to get in touch with Adam. I was not ready to give up without at least discussing it. I texted him, asking if we could meet up and talk about what happened. I did not get an answer right away, and I spent the next few days in limbo, waiting for some kind of response. Finally, Adam texted back, saying he was not interested in talking and that he had made up his mind. I was devastated. It was as if he had shut the door on everything without thinking twice. However, that was not the worst part. He also informed me that he was already seeing someone else. And mind you, it had not even been a whole month since he left me. When I found out he had moved on so fast, my world completely fell apart. Was this someone he had been seeing before we split? Was I so blind that I did not see him pulling away sooner? I did not ask him any of these questions because, honestly, I did not want to hear the answers. It felt like whatever we had was completely erased in the blink of an eye. It is difficult to express the range of feelings I have been experiencing. Anger, betrayal, confusion. It is all coming together. How did he manage to move on that quickly? How could he be so willing to let go of everything we have built? I keep wondering if this new relationship began before he left, or if there were problems in our marriage that I simply ignored. I have been going through each conversation we have had in the last few months to see if there were any red flags I missed. However, nothing stands out. We had usual disagreements, nothing significant, and I never expected things to fall apart so quickly. Maybe I was too focused on my own life and missed the signs that he was pulling away. But I also wonder if Adam had been looking for a way out all along and Natalie's manipulation was just the excuse he needed. My family is divided on the whole thing. Some people believe I should have let it go and avoided the turmoil with Natalie. Others agree that Natalie was completely out of line, and that I did the correct thing by refusing her. But, in the end, none of this matters. The damage is done. Adam is gone, and I am left to figure out how to start over with my life, now that he has moved on with someone else. I have not spoken to Natalie or Grace since everything went down. They are completely cut out of my life now, and I feel relieved not to have their toxic energy around me. The idea that Natalie could go behind my back, manipulate Adam, and basically ruin my marriage still blows my mind. But I have realized that there is no point in trying to change what happened. What is done, and I have to move forward. I am going to be very honest, I think Adam is seeing Grace. I mean, it would only make sense because Natalie wanted me to break off my marriage so that Grace and Adam could be together. So maybe that is what is happening. I do not know though, I want to find out. As for Adam, I wish I could say I am over it, but I am not. I still love him, and I probably always will. But I know that our marriage is over. He has moved on, and now it is my turn to do the same. It is going to take time for me to get over this, and there are days when the pain feels unbearable. But I hope I get through it eventually. Update 2. Hey, everyone. First of all, thank you so much for all the support, advice, and kind words you left on my last post. I never expected so many people to care about my situation, and it has meant the world to me. Before I go into the update, I would like to address something a lot of you mentioned. Many people thought that Adam was seeing Grace, and to be honest, I was starting to believe it as well. Natalie had pushed me so hard to leave Adam for Grace's sake, and the way things played out led me to believe there was something between them. Why else would she make such a ridiculous request, right? I could not believe my aunt would ask me to leave my husband as a birthday present for her daughter if Adam and Grace were not already romantically involved. Well, that's where things took an unexpected and downright disturbing turn. About 2 weeks ago, I received a message from Stephen, my Aunt Natalie's husband, and Grace's father. I had not spoken to him in a long time, especially since things had gone wrong, but he begged to meet in person, saying he had something important to tell me. Given how wild things had already gotten, I was skeptical at first. I did not want to get involved in any more family drama, especially after what had happened to Natalie and Grace. But something about Stephen's tone made me want to hear him out, so I decided to meet up. When we met, Stephen looked tired, as if the weight of the world rested on his shoulders. I could tell right away that whatever he had to say would not be easy. He began by apologizing for Natalie, Grace, and all that had happened. I had no idea where he was heading with this, but then he dropped a bomb that I did not expect. Adam was not seeing Grace, he was seeing Natalie. Yes, my aunt. My 50-year-old, manipulative, toxic Aunt Natalie. I was speechless. My mind went blank as I tried to make sense of what he was saying. For a split second, I thought I must have misheard him, but Stephen went on, explaining everything in horrifying detail. Apparently, Natalie and Adam had been having an affair for months. Stephen found out when he came home early from a business trip one weekend. He walked into their house, into his bedroom, and caught them in bed together. Natalie and Adam. My husband and my aunt. In their bed. Stephen said he did not know how long it had been going on, but based on some of the texts and messages he found, it had been at least a few months, if not longer. Natalie had been seeing Adam behind my back while she was pressuring me to leave him for Grace. The whole birthday present nonsense was just a distraction, a way to manipulate me and everyone else while she carried on her affair with my husband in secret. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. I thought I was prepared for anything, but this? This was beyond what I could have thought. I was struggling to understand what Stephen was saying. Natalie? Among all people? I had always known she was manipulative, but I never expected her to do something like this. And Adam? The man I thought I knew, the man I had made a life with, had he been sneaking around with my aunt the entire time? But it did not stop there. Stephen went on to tell me that Natalie had decided to leave him. Apparently, she and Adam were going to blow everything up, and Natalie intended to leave Stephen on Grace's birthday. Yes, you read correctly. She intended to wreck her own family on her daughter's birthday in order to run away with my husband. Grace was unaware of any of this, which was just another layer of manipulation. Natalie had used her daughter as a pawn in this sick, twisted game, leading everyone to believe Grace had feelings for Adam when, in fact, she was sleeping with him. Stephen told me about this, and I just sat there, stunned. I was not sure how to react. I had been focusing all of my energy on finding out if Adam was seeing Grace, when in reality, Natalie, my own aunt, had duped me in the worst way possible. After Stephen finished telling me everything, he handed me his phone and showed me some of the messages he came across between Natalie and Adam. I could not look at them for long because it was too painful. The way they were talking about me, about their plans, about how they were going to start fresh once the dust settled, it made me physically ill. I still cannot believe it. I spent weeks trying to accept that Adam might have feelings for Grace, but now this? This was beyond what I could have imagined. Natalie had planned this whole thing from the beginning. She manipulated me, and even her own husband, all while having an affair with my husband behind everyone's back. I have been trying to figure out where to go next, but I am still in shock. I thought I was dealing with a husband who left me for another woman, but now I am trying to process the fact that he left me for my aunt, the person who I thought was family. I do not know if they are still seeing each other, or if their little plan fell apart after Steven caught them. Part of me does not even care at this point. What is done, and no matter what happens with them, the damage has already been done to me. I wish I could say there is a silver lining here, but right now, I'm just trying to survive this. I will keep you all updated if anything changes, but for now, I am just trying to figure out how to move forward after everything that has happened. Thanks again for all the support. It has been a lifeline during this nightmare. Update 3. Hello, guys. It has been a while since the last update, and a few things have happened in the meantime. So, hopefully, this is the final update to the nightmare I have been living. I confronted Adam, and the outcome was not what I had hoped for, but it did give me some closure. I think I always knew that eventually I would have to confront him directly. I just did not expect it to be so dramatic, or that he would beg me to take him back after realizing Natalie was not who he thought she was. It is difficult to explain how I felt leading up to that moment. But I knew I could not move on with my life without confronting Adam. I needed to say my piece and get the whole truth from him, no more running or second guessing. So, I finally reached out to him and told him we needed to meet up and talk. We met at a park, someplace neutral where I thought I could keep my emotions in check. I did not want the confrontation to happen in our home, the place that had so many memories, good and bad. I reached the park and I finally saw him after so many days. It felt weird. He looked tired, like he had not slept in days. But I did not care enough to ask him what had happened or why he looked tired. I just got straight to it. I told him I knew everything. I told him I knew about Natalie, and that she is the woman he had been sneaking around with while I sat at home, trusting and loving him. The shock on his face was not the same as when people are caught, it was more like shame. He could not look me in the eyes for a while. He did not defend himself, which surprised me because I was expecting excuses or an attempt to cover up. But instead, he nodded quietly and admitted it. He confirmed everything. In some ways, it felt anticlimactic. There was no big outburst or screaming, just this pathetic admission that he had ruined our marriage by having an affair. I had so much I wanted to say. I had spent hours rehearsing this in my head, but when the time came, all I could say was, why? I needed to know what was wrong with us, or with me, that he would cheat on me like this. Adam began talking about how he was not happy anymore, and how our marriage had become like a routine. He said something like he was just stuck, and Natalie made him feel alive again. It was like a punch to the gut. I could not believe he was using that as an excuse, as if his boredom justified destroying our lives. I stood there, feeling disgusted. I told him straight away that his selfishness had cost him everything. There were so many better ways he could have dealt with feeling stuck. We could have looked for therapy, taken a break, and communicated. But he chose to cheat on me, lie to me, and destroy our marriage. And that is when I told him. I told him I was filing for divorce. I said it clearly and without hesitation, and I felt a strange sense of power wash over me. For the first time, I had the upper hand. I was not pleading with him to stay, and I was not forgiving him for his terrible decisions. I was done. That is when the unexpected occurred. Adam, who had been so casual about the affair until now, suddenly broke down. I had never seen him like this. He actually started crying. I am not talking about a few tears, he was sobbing. He grabbed my hands and begged me not to go through with the divorce. He said everything with Natalie had fallen apart, that she was not at all who he thought she was, and now he realized he had made the biggest mistake of his life. He admitted that once the thrill of their affair faded, her true personality came out. Apparently, she is manipulative and controlling, constantly picking fights, and even threatening to expose their affair if he did not do things her way. He said she had made his life a living hell, and he regretted everything. It was weird to stand there and watch this man, who had once seemed like nothing could affect him, break down in front of me. He told me he felt lost without me and could not believe he had thrown away our life together for someone like Natalie. He said he still loved me and would do anything to make things right. But really? I did not feel anything. I had no sympathy for him, no wish to take him back, and no pity for him because of Natalie's actions. I just felt numb. The trust was gone. He had broken it, and no number of tears or apologies would bring it back. I told him that it was too late. I told him there was no way to undo what he had done, and I was not interested in attempting to repair the damage to our marriage. I think that is when he realized I was serious. I was not going to forgive him, and there was no possibility of making things right or getting back together. He kept begging, kept trying to convince me that we could work through this, that he was willing to do whatever it took. but I had already made my decision. I told him that I deserved better, that I was going to move on with my life, and that there was no future for us anymore. I think part of me was waiting for the anger to come, for him to get defensive or lash out like he had in the past when we fought. But it did not happen. Instead, he just broke down even more, realizing he had lost me for good. I left after that. I walked away and did not look back. I have already filed for divorce, and it feels like a huge weight has been lifted from my shoulders. I am not saying it has been easy. There are still times when I feel so hurt and betrayed that it is difficult to breathe, but I know I made the right decision. I know this is what I need to work on myself and begin creating a new life for myself. According to what I have heard, Natalie is furious with Adam for trying to get back with me. Apparently, things between them got bad not long after the truth came out, and now they are both miserable. Adam is paying the price for his choices, and while I would never wish such chaos on anyone, it is no longer my concern. I do not care what happens between them, I am just glad to be out of it. I have cut Natalie out of my life for good. There is no forgiveness there, no chance for reconciliation. I do not have any space left in my heart for people who betray me like that. She is gone, and I am focusing on myself now. This whole experience has been the hardest thing I have ever gone through, but I have learned so much about my own strength. I have realized that I do not need someone who disrespects me, lies to me, and cheats on me. I deserve a partner who values me in our relationship, and I am never going to settle for anything less than that again. So, that is it. I am moving on with my life, one step at a time. It is going to take time to heal, but I know I am on the right path. Thank you to everyone who gave me advice and support along the way. It meant more than you could ever know. I am finally ready to get done with this drama and get on with my life.